Hello. This is about non-experience. Do we focus too much on having a good experience in life? Are we too much focused on all the experience, all the time-bound experience as we move through life? What about non-experience? Is there something there? Is there any value to looking for it? How could it be looked for? To see if there is such thing as non-experience while awake. Could go back the way we came. Sun rays move across time, light, sound, feeling, sense of being, sense of self, all moves through time. What is underneath it all? Could it be non-experiential? So, to find out, we just move in the most basic way through time. The time-bound sounds and the time-bound light we travel on in a very basic way. But non-experiential can't be talked about. It can be prattled on about, but it can't be talked about. All language occurs in experience, the experiential realm. So we're looking towards the non-experiential realm, which isn't a realm, and we can't have a non-experience. There's no having. How about, say, suspending experience? Is there a way to suspend experience where we stop interpreting, stop dwelling in the ever-changing, manifesting, always moving through time on sound, sight, senses, sense of self, sense of being, all always moving. Maybe in dreamless sleep we stop, we suspend it. Maybe when we are 2 or 3 years old we still know how to suspend the experiential. So if we move through time in the most basic way possible, it brings us closer to the way we came. We call it the timeless self. Maybe what all of this time-bound experience rises out of is more vital than all of the experience. The light, the sound, the beingness, is always time. It is time. It is the moving, the ever-changing. There is no experience without constant change. Is there something there that's always the same? Would that be called the real self? So if we get to basic, very basic moving through time, as moving through time is the sense of self on sound or light or feeling or smell. Then there's little to talk about. All talk of it is necessarily experiential, time-bound. And from this time-bound self, perhaps what seems like nothing, what is relatively nothing to the time-bound self, is our most profound, non-illusory existence that has no existence of changeability, of experiential existence, but of total existence, perhaps. This is just raising questions, not formulating beliefs from it, just exploring. So that's what we'll do if you want to continue. Move through time in the most basic way possible. Until you can reach for something beyond that is not changing, not manifesting, not experiential. Maybe we can't think about our real self. The real self has never been thought about. Everything we learned about the self comes from outside of it. And the non-experiential has no need to look at itself. But maybe it looks at the experiential self and gets caught up, taken for a ride, and forgets that it doesn't require to be in the experience, at least not to be completely trapped in it. The mind of the time-bound experience. All the sound and light is always moving through time. The sun, the stars, the planets, the galaxies, the universe, just surface for a short time and become nothing. What's underneath it? Maybe if your eyes close and open, times when they're closed, there are visuals. You travel or see things that is the same as what you're hearing and feeling, sensing the time-bound self. Maybe. Maybe being caught up in experience only without the non-experiential is a half-life. Takes a long time for the experiential self to recognize that perhaps it's not everything, and even maybe it's the most insignificant area of self. In that most basic moving through time, maybe if you're in the visuals of it or the sound, it can be recognized that everything is in there, all of the experience builds upon that basic sense of presence, humming through time. And that basic motion we get so used to that it's unnoticed, that it's a basic happening. That comes maybe from something else. If we can move through experience, then we can learn to suspend it or relearn. Not to get rid of the experience, not to put down the experience, but to have the option of suspending it. if you are in an experience, then there is something else out of the experience, not out of it in position or area, but who is having that experience. That who has no need to look at itself, and it doesn't. Or does it? Who could become aware of non-experience? Try to find out is what we're doing. It may seem like we are in the experience, but who is aware of it? We have the experience, think it is all, because the real experiencer perhaps has no experience of self. Everything knowable and perceivable and experienceable happens, rises out of it. Maybe if it's investigated fully, who is having the experience, the understanding is reached that there's nothing there, that there's a non-experiential, unmanifest, unborn, are just words trying to talk about what cannot talk about itself. And we also are looking for that to have options other than assuming that the experiential is all there is. In that open mystery, there's no calling for belief or knowingness. Belief and knowingness are completely experiential and time-bound. Outside of that, maybe it's an all-inclusiveness. But the experience of it is all happening in time. But we know we're getting closer to something that it all rises out of. And after a while on investigation, the grasping comes to an end. There's nothing perceivable, conceivable there. And it takes a long time to balance or counterbalance the conceptual with its value and its appreciation of non-conceivable. Being in our presence, feeling it as basically as we can, understanding that we're moving through it, through time, tells us that there is something else. By having an experience, many different experiences, we know there is always something more or something beyond. And maybe it's something that cannot be defined or experienced. It doesn't mean that what seems like relative nothing is what it seems to the experiential obsession, a fixation in experience. It takes a long time to open the possibility of what it's missing. So there, in your nothingness, is the most vital self. so fearless that it needs no fearlessness.